Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Vayam Rupa Kata Mahyam Dadati Swaparandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha त्रिरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणं तन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सन्नितं च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त तप्तकाञ्चन गौरी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी नित्यानन्दे नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे शून्यवादी तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु
नित्यानंद श्री
नित्यानंदा
अद्वैता
Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi
वृंदम
Gaura Bhaktarvinda
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna
हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna Hare Hare
हरे
Hare Rama
राम
Hare Rama
हरे
Rama Rama
हरे
Hare Hare
हरि बोल
Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. The
हरि
deliverance of Salva.
यस प्रभु यू कैन स्टार्ट
After taking Hare Krishna, Vishnu Prabhupada, Vishnu Prabhupada. Hare, after taking with his charioteer, the son of the Dwarka, uh, Pradyumanya. Pradyumanya could understand the real circumstances, and therefore he refreshed himself by washing his mouth and hands, arming himself properly with bows and arrows. He asked his charioteer to take him near the place where Salva's commander-in-chief was standing uh, during the short absence of Pradyumna from the battlefield. Human Salva's commander-in-chief had been taking over the position of the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty by appearing in the battlefield. Pradyumna immediately stopped him and struck him with 8 arrows, which 4 arrows he killed his 4 horses, with 1 arrow he killed his charioteer driver, and with another arrows he cut his bow in two, with another arrow he cut his flag into pieces, and with another he severed his head from his body. When on the other front, heroes like Gada, Satyaki, and Samaba were engaged in killing the soldiers of Salva, and the soldiers who were staying with Salva in the airplane were also killed in the fighting, and they spilled into the ocean. Each party began to strike the opposite party very severely. The battle was fierce and dangerous and continued for 27 days without stop. While the fight was going on in the city of Dwarka, Krishna was staying at Indraprastha, no, Indraprastha along with the Pandavas and killed Yudhishthira, the king Yudhishthira. These fighting with Salva took place after the Rajasya Yagna had been performed by King Yudhishthira, and after the killing of Shishupala. When Lord Krishna understood that there was a great danger in the city of Dwarka, he took the permission, permission from the elderly members of the Pandava family, especially from his aunt Kunti Devi, and started immediately for Dwarka. Lord Krishna began to think that while he was aware in Hastinapura with Balaram after the killing of Sisupala. Sisupala men must have attacked Dwarka. On reaching Dwarka, Lord Krishna saw that the whole city was greatly endangered. He placed Balaramji in a strategic position for the protection of the city, and he himself asked his territorial Dwarka, the Daruka to prepare to start. He said, Daruka, please immediately take me to where Salva is staying. You may know that this Salva is a very powerful, mysterious man. Don't fear him in the least. As soon as he got his orders from Lord Krishna, Daruka had him seated on the chariot and drive very quickly towards Salva. The chariot of Lord Krishna was marked with the flag bearing the insignia of Garuda, and as soon as soldiers and warriors of the Yadu dynasty saw the flag, they could understand that Lord Krishna was on the battlefield. By this time, almost all the soldiers of Salva had been killed, but when Salva saw that Krishna had come to the battlefield, he released a great powerful weapon which flew through the sky with a roaring sound like a great meteor. It was so bright that the whole sky lights up by its presence. But as soon as Lord Krishna appeared, he tore the great weapon into the hundreds and thousands of pieces by releasing his own arrow. Lord Krishna struck Salva with great 16 arrows, and which shores of arrows he overpowered the airplane, uh, just as the sun in a clear sky overpowers the whole sky by an ultimate unlimited number of molecules of sunshine. Salva struck a serve blow to Krishna's left side, where the Lord was carrying his bow, Sargana, and as a result, the Sargana bow fell from Lord Krishna's hand. This dropping of bow was indeed wonderful, great personality, and gods, demigods, great personality, and demigods who were observing the fighting between Salva and Krishna became most uh, perturbed by his by this, and they began to exclaim, "Al Al Salva thought that he had become victorious, and with a roarer sound began to address Lord Krishna as follows: flows, you rascal Krishna, you kidnapped Rukmini forcibly. Even in our presence, you baffled my friend Shishupala and married Rukmini yourself. And in the great assembly at King Yudhishthira Rajasya Yagna, well, my friend Shishupala was a little absent-minded. You took an opportunity to kill him. Everyone thinks that are a a great fighter, and that no one can conquer you. So now you will have to prove your strength. I think that if you stand before me any longer with my sharp, sharpened arrows, I shall send you to place where from you will never return To this, Lord Krishna replied, "Foolish Salva, you are taking nonsensically. You do not know that the moment of death is already upon your head. Those who are actually heroes do not talk much. They prove their prowess by practical exhibition of chivalrous chivalrous, activities. After saying this, Lord Krishna, in great anger, struck Sarva on the uh, cor- collarbone with his club so sincerely, servilely, that he began to blend internally and tremble as if he were going to collapse from severe cold, severe cold, severe cold, severe cold. Before Krishna was able to strike him again, however, Salva became invisible by his mystic power. Next, when within a few moments, a mysterious and unknown man came before Lord Krishna, crying loudly. He bowed down at the Lord's lotus feet and said to him, "Since you are the most beloved son of your father Vasudeva, your mother Devaki has sent me to inform you of the unfortunate news that your father has been arrested by Salva and taken away by force. He took him just as a butcher, 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 mercilessly, mercilessly mm, takes away an animal. When Lord Krishna he heard this for unfortunate news from the unknown man, he had that he had first became most pre, retributed and just like an ordinary human being. His face showed signs of grief, and he began to cry in a piteous tone. How could that happen? My brother Lord Balarama, he is there. Huh? Ka? Mana kabin ko? Ata tabi July mo. And
Hare Krishna. My brother Lord Balaram is
Hare
dead.
Krishna Prabhu.
You can continue.
Balaram, hi
Yeah.
Prabhu. Sorry Prabhu.
No problem.
Uh, How would that happen? My brother Lord Balarama is there, and it is impossible for anyone to conquer Balaramji. He is in charge of Dwarka city, and I know he is always alert. How could Sarva possibly enter the city and arrest my father? In that way, whatever he may be, Salva power is limited. So how could it be possible that he has conquered the strength of Balaramji and taken away my father, arresting him as described by this man? Allah's um, dynasty is after all very powerful. Well, Sri Krishna was thinking like his Salva brought before him in uh, custody a man exactly rememberly Vasudeva, his father, and these were all creations of the mystic power of Salva. Salva began to address Krishna, "You rascal Krishna, took this is your father who has begotten you and by whose mercy you are still living. Now just see how I kill your father. If you have any strength, try to save him." The mystic jugular Salva, speaking in this way before Lord Krishna, immediately cut off the head of the false Vasudeva without his uh, hesitation. He took away the dead body and got into his airplane. Um, Lord Krishna is the self-sufficient supreme personality of Godhead, yet because he was uh, playing the role of human being, he became very distressed for a moment, he uh, as if as if he had actually lost his father. But at the next moment, he could understand that the arrest and killing of his father were demonstration of the mystic powers which Salva had learned from the demon Maya. Uh, Coming to her right consciousness, he could see that there was no messenger and no head of his father, but that only Salva had left in his airplane, which was flying in the sky. He then began to think of salving Salva. Krishna's reaction is a uh, controversial point among great authorities and saintly persons. How could Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all power and knowledge, he be bewildered in such a way? Lamentation, agreement, and bewilderment are characteristics of persons who are conditioned soul. But how can such things affect the person of the Supreme, who is full of knowledge, power, and all opulences? Actually, it is not at all possible that Lord Krishna was misled by the mystic Jubileer of Jubileer of Sarva. He was displaying his pastime in playing the role of human being. Great saint persons and sages who are engaged in the devotional service of the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna and who have those achieved the greatest perfection of self-realization have transcended the bewilderment of the bodily concept of life. Lord Krishna is the ultimate goal of life for such saintly persons. How then could Krishna have been bewildered by the mystic jubilee of Salva? The conclusion is that Lord Krishna's bewilderment was another appearances of his supreme personality. When Salva thought that Krishna had been bewildered by his mystic representations, he became encouraged and began to attack the Lord with greater strength and energy by showering the volumes of arrows upon him. But the enthusiasm of Salva can be compared to the speedy march of flies into a fire. Lord Krishna by hurling, hurling, hurling his arrows with unforgettable strength, injured Salva, whose armor, arm, armor, armor, bow, and jeweled helmet all scattered into pieces with a crashing blow from club, Krishna's club. Salva's wonderful airplane burst into pieces and fell into the sea. Salva was very careful, and instead of crashing with the airplanes, he managed to jump on to the land. He again rushed towards the Lord Krishna. When Salva ran uh, uh, swiftly, swiftly to attack Krishna with his club. Lord Krishna cut off his hand, which fell to the ground with the club. Finally, deciding to king him, the Lord took up his wonderful disc, which was shining like the brilliant sun at the time of dissolution of dissolution of the material creations. When the Lord Krishna stood up with his disk to kill Salva, he appeared just like the red sun rising over a mountain. Lord Krishna then cut off his head, and the head with its earrings and helmet fell on the ground. Salva was killed in the same way as Var- Vartasura. Vartasura was killed by Indra, the king of heaven. When Salva was killed, all his soldiers and followers began to cry, Allah, Allah. Where Salva began, where they was crying, the from demigods from the heavenly planet showered flowers on the Krishna and announced the victory by beating on drums and blowing bogles, bogles. Googles at this very moment other friends of Shishupala, such as Dan Dan Danskavarka, sorry, Dan Dantavarkara, Dantavarkara appeared on the sense appeared on the scene to fight with Krishna. Shikala appeared on the scene to fight with Krishna in order to avenge the death of Shishupala. When Dantavarkara appeared before Lord Krishna, he was extremely angry. So ends the
Evo.
Bhakti Vedanta purport of the second volume, 22nd chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Salva. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Prabhu, for giving the opportunity.
Thank you so much. That was amazing chapter. Haribol. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's read one more chapter. I can start this next chapter. And Hare Krishna, Pranjal Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. First is Prabhupada. Chapter 23, The Killing of Dantavakra, Viduratha, and Romaharshana. After the demise of Shishupala, Shalva and Poundra, another foolish demoniac king of the name Dantavakra, wanted to kill Krishna in order to avenge the death of his friend Shalva. He became so agitated that he personally appeared on the battlefield without the proper arms and ammunition and without even a chariot. His only weapon was his great anger, which was red hot. He carried only a club in his hand, but he was so powerful that when he moved, everyone felt the earth tremble. When Lord Krishna saw him approaching in a very heroic mood, he immediately got down from his chariot, for it was a rule of military etiquette that fighting should take place only between equals. Knowing that Dantavakra was alone and armed only with only a club, Lord Krishna responded similarly and prepared himself by taking his club in his hand. When Krishna appeared before him, Dantavakra's heroic march was immediately stopped just as the great furious waves of the ocean are stopped by the beach. At that time, Dantavakra, who was the king of Karusha, stood up firmly with his club and spoke to Lord Krishna as follows. It is a, it is a great pleasure and fortunate opportunity, Krishna, that we are facing each other eye to eye. My dear Krishna, after all, you are my eternal cousin, and I should not kill you in this way. But unfortunately, you have committed a great mistake by killing my friend Shalva. Moreover, you are not satisfied by killing my friend, but I know that you want to kill me also. Because your determination, I must kill you by tearing you into pieces with my club. Krishna, although you are my relative, you are foolish. You are our greatest enemy, so I must kill you today, just as a person removes a boil on his body by a surgical operation. I am always very much obliged to my friends, and I therefore consider myself indebted to my dear friend Shalva. Uh, I can only liquidate my indebtedness to him by killing you. As the caretaker of an elephant tries to control the animal by striking it with his trident, so Dantavakra tried to control Krishna simply by speaking strong words. After finishing his vituperation, he struck Krishna on the head with his club and made a roaring sound like a lion. Although struck strongly by the club of Dantavakra, Krishna did not move even an inch, nor did he feel any pain. Taking his Kaumodaki club and moving very skillfully, Krishna struck the chest of Dantavakra so fiercely that the heart of Dantavakra split in twain. As a result, Dantavakra began to vomit blood. His hairs became scattered, and he fell to the ground, spreading his hands and legs. Within only a few minutes, all that remained of Dantavakra was a dead body on the ground. After the death of Dantavakra, just as the time of Shishupala's death, in the presence of all persons standing there, more particle of spiritual effulgence came out of the demon's body and very wonderfully merged into the body of Lord Krishna. Dantavakra had a brother named Viduratha, who became overwhelmed with grief at the death of Dantavakra. Out of grief and anger, Viduratha was breathing very heavily, and just to avenge the death of his brother, he also appeared before Lord Krishna with a sword and shield in his hand. He wanted to kill Krishna immediately. When Lord Krishna understood that Viduratha was looking for the opportunity to strike him with his sword, he employed his Sudarshan chakra, his disc, which was as sharp as a razor, and without delay he cut off the head of Viduratha with its helmet and earrings. In this way, after killing Shalva and destroying his wonderful airplane, and then killing Dantavakra and Viduratha, Lord Krishna at last entered his city, Dwaraka. It would not have been possible for anyone but Krishna to kill these great heroes, and therefore all the demigods from heaven and the human beings on the surface of the globe were glorifying him. Great sages and ascetics, the denizens of the Siddha and Gandharva planets, the denizens known as Vidyadharas, Vasuki, and the Mahanagas, the beautiful angels, the inhabitants of Pitraloka, the Yakshas, the Kinnaras, and the Charanas, all began to shower flowers upon him and sing the songs of his victory in great jubilation, decorating the entire city very festively. The citizens of Dwaraka held a great celebration, and when Lord Krishna passed through the city, all the members of the Vrishni dynasty and the heroes of the Yadu dynasty followed him with great respect. These are some of the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, who is the master of all mystic power and the lord of all cosmic manifestations. Those who are fools, who are like animals, sometimes think that Krishna is defeated, but factually he is the supreme personality of Godhead, and no one can defeat him. He always remains victorious over everyone. He is the only one God, and all others are his subservient order carriers. Once upon a time, Lord Balaram heard that there was an arrangement being made for a fight between the two rival parties in the Kuru dynasty, one headed by Duryodhana and the other by the Pandavas. He did not like the idea that he was to be only a mediator to stop the fighting finding it unbearable not to take an active part on behalf of either of the parties. He left Dwaraka on the plea of visiting various places of pilgrimage. He first of all visited the place of pilgrimage known as Prabhasha Kshetra. He took his bath there, and he pacified the local Brahmanas and offered oblations to the demigods, Pitas, great sages, and people in general, in accordance with Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. That is the Vedic method of visiting holy places. After this, accompanied by some respectable Brahmanas, he decided to visit different places on the bank of the river Saraswati. He gradually visited such places as Ritudaka, Bindusara, Tritakupa, Sudarshana Tirtha, Vishala Tirtha, Brahma Tirtha, and Chakra Tirtha. Besides these, he also visited all the holy places on the bank of Saraswati River running toward the east. After this, he visited all the principal holy places on the bank of the Yamuna and on the bank of the Ganga. Thus he gradually came to the holy place known as Naimisharanya. This holy place, Naimisharanya, is still existing in India, and in ancient times it was especially used for the meetings of great sages and saintly persons with the aim of understanding spiritual life and self-realization. When Lord Balaram visited that place, there was a great sacrifice being performed by a great assembly of transcendentalists. Such meetings were planned to last thousands of years. When Lord Balaram arrived, all the participants of the meeting, great sages, ascetics, brahmanas, and learned scholars, immediately arose from their seats and welcomed him with great honor and respect. Some offered him respectful obeisances, and those who were elderly, great sages, and brahmanas offered him blessings by standing up. After this formality, Lord Balaram offered a suitable seat, and everyone present worshipped him. Everyone in the assembly stood up in the presence of Balaram because they knew him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Education or learning means to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although Lord Balaram appeared on the earth as a Kshatriya, all the Brahmanas and sages stood up because they knew who Lord Balaram was. Unfortunately, after being worshipped and seated at his place, Lord Balaram saw Roma Harshana, the disciple of Vyasadeva, the literal incarnation of Godhead, still sitting on the Vyasasan. He had neither gotten up from his seat nor offered him respects. Because he was seated on the Vyasasan, he foolishly thought himself greater than the Lord. Therefore, he did not get down from his seat or bow down before the Lord. Lord Balaram then considered the history of Roma Harshana. He was born in a Suta family, or a mixed family, born of a Brahmana woman and a Kshatriya man. Therefore, although Roma Harshana considered Balaram a Kshatriya, he should not have remained sitting on a higher seat. Lord Balaram considered that Maharshan, according to his position by birth, should not have accepted the higher sitting position, because there were many learned Brahmanas and sages present. He also observed that Maharshana not only did not come down from his exalted seat, but he did not even stand up and offer his respect when Balaramji entered the assembly. Lord Balaram did not like the audacity of Maharshana, and he became very angry with him. When a person is seated on the Vyasa, he does not generally have to stand up to receive a particular person entering the assembly. But in this case, the situation was different because Lord Baladeva is not an ordinary human being. Therefore, although Romaharshana Sutta was voted to the Vyasasan by all the Brahmanas, he should have followed the behavior of other learned sages and Brahmanas who were present and should have known that Lord Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Respects are always due to him, even though such respects can be avoided in the case of an ordinary man. The appearance of Krishna and Balaram are especially meant for establishment of the religious principles. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the highest religious principle is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the topmost perfection of religiousness is to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. When Lord Balaram saw that Romaharshana Sutta did not understand highest principle of religiousness in spite of having studied all the Vedas, he certainly could not support his position. Romaharshana Sutta had been given a chance to become a perfect Brahmana, but because of his ill behavior in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his low birth was immediately remembered. Romaharsana Sutta had been given the position of a Brahmana, but he had now been born in a family of Brahmana, but he had not been born in a family of a Brahmana. He had been born in a Partiloma family, Pratiloma family. According to the Vedic concept, there are two kinds of mixed family heritage. They are called Anuloma and Pratiloma. When a male is united with a female of a lower caste, the offspring is called Anuloma. But when a male unites with a woman of a higher caste, the offspring is called Pratiloma. Romaharshana Sutta belonged to the Pratiloma family because his father was a Kshatriya and his mother a Brahmana. Because Romaharshana's transcendental realization was not perfect, Lord Balaram remembered this Pratiloma heritage. The idea is that any man can be given the chance to become a Brahmana, but if he improperly uses the position of a Brahmana without actual realization, then his elevation to the Brahminical position is not valid. Hare Krishna. Pranjal Prabhu, you can read also next if you want. Vivo.
Okay. Perceiving the deficiency of realization in Roma's 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 Archana Sutta, Lord Balrama decided to chastise him for being puffed up. Lord Balrama therefore said, "This man is liable to be awarded with the death of punishment because he has a good qualification of being a disciple of Lord Vyasadeva. And although he has studied all the literatures from this exalted personality, he was not submissive in the presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, a person who is actually a Brahmana is very learned, must automatically become very gentle also. In this case, Roma's and Roma Harsana Sutta, although he was very learned and had been given the chance to become a Brahmana, he had not become gentle. From this we can understand that when one is puffed up by material acquisition, he cannot acquire the gentle behavior benefiting a Brahmana. The learning of such person is as good as a valuable gem decorated, decorating the hood of a serpent. Despite the valuable gem on the hood of a serpent, is still a serpent and is fearful as an ordinary serpent. If a person does not become meek and humble, all his studies of the Vedas and Puranas and his vast knowledge in Shastras become simply outward dress, like a costume of a theatrical artist dancing on a stage. Lord Varnava began to consider this. I have appeared in order to chastise false persons who are internally impure but externally pose themselves to be very learned and religious. My killing of such persons is proper to check them from further sinful activity. Lord Balrama had avoided taking part in the battle of Kurukshetra, and yet, because of his position, the establishment of religious principles was his prime duty. Considering these points, he killed Roma Arsana simply by striking him with a kusa straw, which was nothing but a blade of grass. If someone questioned how Balram could kill Roma Arsana he would simply strike him with a blade of kusa grass. When the answer is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the use of word Prabhu, Master. Lord's position is always transcendental, and because he is omnipotent, he can act as he likes without being obliged to the material laws and principles. Thus, it was possible for him to kill Roma Smita simply by striking him with the blade of Pusa grass. At the death of Roma Smita, everyone present became much aggrieved, and there was roaring and crying. Although the governors and the stages present their new Lord Brindama to be Supreme Personality of Godhead, they did not hesitate to protest Lord's action, and they humbly submitted. O dear Lord, we think that your action is not in the line with the religious principle. Dear Lord Yaginandana, we may inform you that we Brahmanas forced Ramarsana Sutta on that exalted position for the duration of this great sacrifice. He was seated on the Rasna for an election, and one is and when one is seated on the Asana, it is improper. It is improper for him to stand up to receive a person. Moreover, if we awarded Romasna Sutta as an, an undisturbed duration of life, under those circumstances, since your Lordship has killed him without knowing all these facts, we think your action has been equal to that of killing a Brahmin. Dear Lord, deliverer of fallen souls, we know certainly that you are the knower of all Vedic principles. You are the master of all mystic powers. Therefore, ordinarily, the Vedic instructions cannot be applied to your personality. But we discussed that you show your causeless mercy upon others by killing, returning for this kind of violence.
Hare Krishna.
So you are the master of all mystic powers. Therefore, the ordinary Vedic instructions cannot be applied on others by kindly atoning for this killing of Roma Satan. We do not, however, suggest what kind of act you should perform, to atone for killing him. We simply suggest that some of the method of atonement cannot be adopted by you, so that others may follow your option. What is done by great personality is followed by an ordinary man. Lord replied, yes, I must atone for this action. It may have been proper for me, but is improper for others. Therefore, I think it is also
Hare Krishna Prabhu, your microphone is cutting. We can't hear.
Hare
Oh, I
Krishna
think
Prabhu,
Prabhu's connection went.
can I
Yeah,
read
you
Prabhu?
can continue here.
Prabhu, my voice is clear, Prabhu? For good?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Okay,
Hare
Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Vishnu Prabhu. Yes, I must atone for this action, which may have been proper for me, but is improper for others. Therefore, I think it is my duty to execute a suitable act of antonium, antoniament, atonement enjoyed in the authorized scriptures. Simultaneously, I can also give this Roma Arsana Sutta life again with a span of long duration, sufficient strength, and full power of the senses. Or not only this, if you desire, I shall be glad to award him anything else which you may ask. I shall be very glad to grant all these bonds in order to fulfill your desires. This attachment of Lord Balarama definitely confirms that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is free to act in any way. Although it may be considered that his the killing of Romarsana Sutta was improper, he could immediately counteract the action with greater profit to all. Therefore, one should not imitate the actions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should simply follow the instruction of the Lord. All the great learned sages present realized that although they consider the action of Lord Balaram to be improper, the Lord was able to immediately complain with greater profit, not wanting to uh, detract from this mission of the Lord. His killing Romarsana Sutta. All of them prayed. Oh, all of them prayed. Our our dear Lord, the uncommon use of your kusa weapon to kill Romarsana Sutta may remain as it is. Because of your desire to kill him, he should not be brought to life again. And at the same time, your lordship may remember that if we sages and Brahmins voluntarily gave him long life. Therefore, such a benediction should not be nullified. Thus, the request of all learned Brahmins in the assembly was ab- ambiguous because they want to keep intact the benedictions given by them that Romarsana Sutta could continue to live until the end of the great sacrifice, but at the same time they did not want to nullify Brahmana's Balarama's killing him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead therefore solved the problem in a manner befitting his exalted positions and said, because the Son is produced from the body of the Father, it is the injunctions of the Vedas that the Son is the Father's representative. Therefore, I say that Ugra Suta, Ugra Sarva, Ugra Sarva, Ugra Sarva, Ugra Sarva Suta, the son of Romarsana Suta should henceforth take his father um, positions and continues the discourse on the Puranas. And because you wanted Romarsana to have a long duration of life, this benediction will transferred to his son. The son Ugrasrava will therefore have all facilities you offered, long duration of life in a good and healthy body without any disturbance and full strength of all senses. Lord Balarama then im- implored all the sages and Balaramas that aside from the benediction offered to the sons of Somasana, they should ask from him any other benediction, and he could be prepared to fully, full, fulfill it immediately. The Lord thus placed himself in the position of an ordinary Kshatriya and informed the sages that he did not know in what way he could atone for his killing of Romarsana, but whatever they could suggest, he could be glad to accept. The Brahmana could understand the purpose of the Lord, and those they suggested that he atones for his action in a manner which could be beneficial for them. They said, our Lord, our dear Lord, there is a demon of the name Balvala. Balvala. He is the son of Ilvala. Ilvala. But he is a very powerful demon and he visits this scared place of sacrificing so sacrifice every fortnight on the full moon and moonless day and creates a great disturbance to the discharge of our duties in the sacrifice. Oh, descendant of Dasra, Dasra family. We all request you to kill this demon. We'll think that if you kindly kill him, that will be your atonement on our behalf. The demon of occasionally comes here and profusely profusely throws upon us commandmented 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 improve things like pus, blood, stool, urine, and wine, and he bullets these characters by showering such flight upon us. After killing Balava, you may continue touring all these scared places of pilgrimage for 12 months, and in that way you will be completely freed from all contamination. This is our prescription. This ends the Bhagavad Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 23rd chapter of Krishna, the killing of Dantavatka, Vidurata, and Roma. Roma.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving the opportunity.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, now let's go to
Yes,
62nd verse.
yes, Prabhu.
चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावादुजीवनम् आनन्दं पुतिवर्तनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्. You can read second one.
नाम्नामकार नाम्नामकारी बहुधा निजसर्वशक्ति तत्रार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन काला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवान् ममामि दुर्दैवम् ईदृशम् इजयिनि ननुग्रह
त्रिनादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानीना मानदेन कीर्तनीया सदा हरि.
नादनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनेश्वरी भगवद् भक्तिर्हैतुकी सवी.
अयि नन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपा तव पादपङ्कजास्ति दधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय.
नयनं गदा असुर नयनं गलद असुरदया वदनं गद्गदा हृदया गिरा पुलकीर्निचिन्तं वपु कदा तव नाम गृह्णामि भविष्यति.
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रविश्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्द विरहेण मे.
अलिसेया वपदा रतं पिन्नस्तु मां अदर्शन मरम् अतं कर्तु वा यथा तथा वा विदत्तु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव न परः.
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and those you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of the kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Oh, Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at recitations of your name?
O
Recitations of
Govinda,
your name.
feeling our separation, some considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna has my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
हरि बोल श्री शिक्षाष्टकम की जय पंचदश तत्व की जय नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय जगत गुरु शिला भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल